right, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Game Wild. We took a week off last week, so we are here now, at least. So it's a little earlier than we normally do, but it's a crazy weekend. We have the Super Bowl this weekend and a bunch of other things going down.
Tom Brady again, dude. Again, this guy's a beast.
He B12. Hey, listen. Speaking of that, we are actually going to probably be doing some stuff with sports cards at some point, and a lot of people like this whole opening stuff where people open packs of cards and stuff. So we might try that, and we might do it with some sports cards to have some fun. So look forward to that sometime in the near future. Don't know when, but we're going to work on it and see if we can do it and have some fun with it, and maybe get some cards graded. And
cards are the craze right now, man. Like Pokemon and all that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a podcast about card collecting, listening to try to understand it better, because with everything so volatile right now, and we'll get into it because that's part of this week's podcast is some of the stock market, because we do also bring up business stuff on this podcast. It's not only about video games, it's about that. And then I got my kid here, it's live. She's here, and she's also relevant to today's podcast based off of something else that happened in the world of video games. So it's all video game centric, but it's all pieces of the video game world: business, streaming, stuff like that. So there are tons of things to talk about today. And well, let's just get right into it then, right? Because we've been gone for a week.
Well,
so.
Yeah. One quick note though on
jump in.
Gamer Eats, right? So this week we're gonna pass on Gamer Eats this week, mainly because we're getting things going again with the podcast as we took last week off. But we have a new snack crate coming in, so we're gonna wait until that gets here, and then next week that means we'll do the last one that we got from the last batch. And then the week after that, we can go ahead and continue with the new stuff. So.
And for solidarity, it's Game Eats, but we call it
Game Eats. I always go back and forth.
Listen, we're going to go back and forth with it. There is an official title on the website, Game-Wild. You can go to that place, game-wild.com, and check it out. We have all the old stuff there. That's the one-stop shop for Game Wild. You can get your videos there from YouTube. You can get our podcast there. You can get our merchandise there. It's all a one-stop shop. And speaking of being a one-stop shop, you might also want to subscribe, do all that stuff, so you don't actually have to go to the website all the time if you don't want to, because you'll get notifications and you'll get all that fun stuff when it is time to check out a new edition of Game Wild. But if you've been with us long enough, you know that the podcast drops on Mondays and the YouTube feed drops on Mondays at 2 p.m. However, we cannot come up with a perfect schedule on streaming live, so you can see us happen at any time live.
Saturday, Sunday, whenever it works.
But only on the weekends. So we'll tweet it out. We'll put it on our Facebook and Facebook groups and stuff like that. Usually minutes before it starts, because we have lives and this is not our full-time job. We both have full-time jobs, so it's difficult for us to lock down times and stuff like that. But we do appreciate everyone who has supported us through year one. We are now into year two, a month into year two already. So that's how much time has flown. So let's talk about what time has done. Question of the week: what is the last thing you bought from GameStop, either online or in person?
Yeah, what time is done is definitely right. What time? Just thinking GameStop. What's time done to GameStop? Versus when I was going to GameStop when I was 12 years old versus now, right?
If we're being meta about the situation, the last thing I bought from GameStop is a share of their stock. But if I'm actually talking about what we bought at the actual store, I've shown this many times because it's there. But hold on. This was the last thing I bought at GameStop.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So back in December, I had to go pick something up in a town in Massachusetts for the holiday season, because it was the only place that had what I was looking for. And it was in a strip mall, and there was a GameStop, and it was 60% off closing sale, because a lot of the stores, as you know, the brick and mortar stores closed. And I went in there just to see what happens, because I'm a big collectible guy, and I picked this up on 30 or 50% off or something. So it was ended up being $20 or something.
Yeah. So what? That's a Sweet Tooth Funko Pop.
Funko Pop, PlayStation Pop Rides.
Yeah. Yep.
Number 91.
Yeah, I don't. I haven't really gotten into Funko Pops too much. Like I always think about it, but then I just never end up buying them. I don't know, but it's okay. So here, I'm actually, now that I think about it, with what I had bought last, it's actually very interesting to me with the next topic that we'll get into as well, which is the GameStop craze, the stock price hike that you just mentioned. So I bought Life is Strange, the game. I don't. Do you know what that is, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of. I mean, it was a pretty well known like interactive drama type thing.
Yeah, and Strange.
Yeah. And I bought it for my girlfriend because we played Until Dawn together, which is actually we'll get into that topic a little bit later too, with playing with your partners and stuff, and games played with your partners. And
Spoiler alert.
She liked it, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like let's get some more of these. So I grabbed Life is Strange 2 off Amazon because like everybody buys everything off Amazon now, right? It comes in freaking 2 days, and for some reason Amazon didn't have Life is Strange. They had it in like Russian and like Spanish and like these other freaking languages, but they didn't have it. And it was really weird to me. And I got it on GameStop for that reason, because GameStop had it. And so, segue into this topic, which is that of the GameStop price hike. It's super interesting to me that GameStop still had that game and Amazon did not, because generally speaking, Amazon has everything, right? If you need something, Amazon's got it. And I actually wrote a blog post on my website, shitjustworks.gg, about this topic, and specifically how this investor who used to, it's actually the ex-CEO and founder of Chewy, the dog, treat company or whatever. He bought a crap ton of GameStop shares a while ago. This was back when they were like $17 a share or whatever, $12 a share. And he said he thinks GameStop will be able to come out of this and they will be the Amazon of video games, which is, I think, what we all expect GameStop to be. Like that's what they need to be. But they don't have the distribution network to deliver on time like Amazon does, right? So, but anyways, if they're able to capitalize, I think, on all of those types of games that Amazon doesn't have, so like PS3 games, PS2 games, like some of the older games that you always get at those hobby stores and stuff, collectibles, if they start to sell more of that stuff, I think GameStop will do really well as the Amazon of video games. But right now, they're not really the Amazon anything. They just have brand new games just like a Walmart or a Target or an Amazon has, and nobody gives a shit about that stuff because they can get it in 20 other places. So
yeah, and not only that, but they can also get it at a discount if you're members of certain sites.
Yeah.
So like discounts on brand new games, and then you have the whole digital aspect of it all, right? Of like, hey, I just want this game now. I'm not gonna wait for it.
Yeah.
I think what's really outside of the people like you who want to collect it, feel it, hold it, I think what's really killed the market is the consoles requiring downloads on top of having the disc.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the days you put a disc in, you heard the beautiful sound of the game starting up, whether it was the PlayStation logo or the original Xbox logo, and then you're right in the action. Nowadays, you put a game in the console, and you probably have a 10 to 30-minute buffer, and sometimes, in cases that are bigger games, even more. Okay? So, if I told you, hey, listen, you can get the game, but when you get the game, you have to preemptively strike. If you know that you're not going to be able to play it right away, throw that bad boy in your system and let it download the rest of the stuff it needs to download.
Yep.
Because if you get it from Amazon and you pick it up and you're like, oh, I'm going to play this right now. I just came home from work. I'm super pumped. Opening up the package, put it in, and then it's like, oh, game starts in like 20 minutes because of the fact that it still needs to download some extra stuff. Whereas if you buy it digitally off the stores that are on Xbox or PlayStation, they have a thing where if you're in rest mode, it'll actually download the entire game for you while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Because it technically releases at midnight that day. So at midnight, the game gets put in your queue and it will automatically download. So when you wake up in the morning, the game's ready to go. Or you come home from work, guess what? The game's ready to go.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's still some caveats to that. Most people do have power saver mode on their system, so the system still is technically interacting with the internet and stuff like that. So it looks like it's off, but it's really still on. But just using
everything's always on. Is anything off ever nowadays? Like, let's be honest.
But I think that's really what's going to hinder them in the market, and that's why they have to do something where they focus on the collectible craze that is the market. You know?
Okay, so actually, that's a good point, Joe. So, all right, so now let's take that point that you made about like digital and all that stuff, which basically is an implication that GameStop is on a downtrend because we're going into a digital age, and GameStop is brick and mortar, and so that's like one of the simplest arguments that most people make, obviously, about GameStop. So now, you mentioned you bought some GameStop stock, so it looks like you kind of joined the craze a little bit. Hopefully, you made money on that and didn't lose any money.
No, I'm holding, but I'm holding it. It was only one share. It's not like I threw like dollars into it and all of that. I was just like, you know what? Why not? Let's join it. And it feels it's more fun. And it's like, but the thing is too is I'll hold it. Like I don't need it. Like I could, if it shot back up, great. But if it doesn't, I'll take the small loss. It's not significant enough. I didn't do anything in regards to like, hey, I'm gonna put my life savings into this. I bought one share. It's it stinks that it isn't making money, but I kind of knew going into it that the gamble was higher, that it was going to go down more than it was going to go up because I already missed the peak.
Yeah, the shot
like,
up. Yeah,
where it was where if I owned it at $6 a share or whatever it was, like to make all that money. Well, and honestly, to be fair, I'm on the Reddits and everything now too. I'm on Wall Street Bets. I'm on all that stuff, right? It is crazy and insane. Like how much people have invested in this thing. Like when I think of retail people, I think of like people like you and me who maybe spend a few $100s, maybe go up to 1,000 or two if you. But like these guys are like investing like $30,000 to $50,000, and it's like and they show their losses, and I just am amazed at like somebody who's like, oh, I invested 300,000 and I was up to 15 million, and now I'm losing actual money because my stock is worth 200 now.
Well, so there's two things I want to.
That's the crazier part.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about the people on Reddit that showed that, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
but that's who started.
Well, yeah, exactly. But that's why they're proud of it because they're the ones that are controlling it.
Yeah, and that and Roaring Kittens.
Yeah. So, I think there's two things that I actually want to touch on here because you mentioned Reddit, which is super like that's why this happened essentially is Reddit.
Yeah.
But do you know like why it happened?
Well, yeah, because what was happening is that the hedge fund investors from big places were deciding that they were going to short this stock because they believed it was going to go down, and there's a mixed set of people who stated that it was a nostalgia-based thing, and they wanted to protect GameStop in some way. So they said, let's try to beat the hedge fund and let's screw them over because if we keep buying, it's going to drive the price up, and they can't short it because they're going to lose money because the idea of shorting is that you're betting against the stock. So you don't want rise, you want the price to go down, and that's how they make money. To be honest with you, I don't know like the mathematical pieces on how it is. It's almost like a futures bet. You're like saying, okay, the price is at $10 a share now. I bet by February the share is going to be at this price or something, right? Is that kind of like
well, that's futures is different. Futures is that's a whole other ballgame.
You're more into the stock market piece of it than I am. I just kind of have the dumbed down version of what it means. You probably understand more the technical aspect of what a short is.
Well, that's why I wanted to mention it too, because I wrote it in my blog post as well, and I tweeted about it to my following because I feel like a lot of people in the gaming industry don't actually get involved in the stock market a lot, and a lot of people don't understand why it was that GameStop actually went up. GameStop did not go up because of anything. It's called fundamentals, because of anything fundamental, which means something real life that's happening in real life, like the business is doing good or it's doing bad. That's a fundamental.
Or they bought something. Or they bought something. Company that's supposed to bring out, and then exactly. No, so, it was definitely we wouldn't want to use the word manipulation.
No, it was a manipulation. It was a fucking manipulation. It was a manipulation. It was.
It sounds negative because it was like a bunch of people banding together to try to make something happen, whereas what I would count manipulation is what Robinhood and some other stock brokerages
that's
did.
a whole other thing.
You know, but that's a whole other topic for a whole other.
Yeah,
podcast.
and I could talk about that. I mean, I think they're gonna have to revisit how they deal with things like this with the stock market, because we're in a world where everybody's connected. All 8 billion people are connected. So
change. Yeah, I think this is the world of the stock market for sure.
So okay, so yeah, you had it kind of in a nutshell with the short selling, but basically what happened is, the hedge funds, they all said GameStop sucks because of what we just said. They're brick and mortar, everything's digital. They're right. Like that, fundamentally, GameStop is a shit company. They're terrible right now, okay? And they were shorting it because it's going to go down. They knew it was going to go down. Everybody on this Reddit essentially started a club, and it's the Cool Kids Club, and they wanted as many people to join as possible. And when you get a lot of people to join, all of a sudden you have more money. Because now it's not just your money. There's 100,000 people that you're working with, and there's like 3.5 million people, I think, in that Reddit. I think I'm not sure the exact number, but so they all said, okay, fuck the hedge funds. Essentially, let's go ahead and buy GameStop and keep buying it, so we keep continuing to drive the price up. When that price goes up, which is not what the hedge funds wanted, they wanted it to go down because they shorted it. The hedge funds have like requirements, right? Usually they're investing for other people. So they have requirements that say like, all right, they have alerts set in their trading platforms. If this stock starts to go up too much, we're going to set a buy at that amount to avoid losing a fuck ton of money. So all those triggered because it went up and up and up and up, and it started a snowball effect. So all the people that were shorting it now had to buy it, and that just added to more buying and more volume. And then everybody in the world goes, why the hell is the stock going up? And then they start to buy it, right?
And you want to know what? It's funny because I don't know how many people are into gambling or anything like that, but we know that Wall Street and stock market is probably one of the biggest gambles you can take. But there is the idea of hedging, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, they hedged their bets. That's what
because they're like, we're going to lose on the short. We're going to buy, so the stock goes up. We can make money off of that and try to sell it at a higher price. And then you just have unfortunate manipulation from companies like Robinhood, and let's face it, some of the news outlets are not posting proper items on it to scare people into selling so the hedge funds can get their money back, basically.
But that just goes to show you that in 2021, this is why I think they're going to change some rules and regulations with the stock market. We're in a world where all 8 billion people can talk to each other, and when 8 billion people can talk to each other, guess what? It's much easier to get a group of 500,000 people to put a shit ton of money into a stock. So this was not a surprise, I don't think, to anybody, because if you get enough people, you can do whatever you want with a stock. So anyways, some prices real quick. GameStop's all-time high before this, like you'd have to go back to like 2008. It was somewhere around like $60 or something like that. And since then, it's not been that high. It's gone down up until now. It was trading at about $17 to $19 before all this bullshit happened. It initially jumped to about $40, which still was not even close to its all-time high. And then in the course of a week, it went up to $347 plus. Okay, about $350. It has currently gone back down to $63.77. This is why I was talking to you before. I said I was going to short it. Now everybody was shorting it before. You should have shorted it when it went up to $300, right? So so now it's back down to $63.77, and it has dipped back down to 53 at any given point, but right now it's $63.77. So just to give you guys a sense of where it's at, it has gone back down to normal levels. It wasn't going to last. And I mean, GameStop in general, I don't think short term is a good company, right? Like they're terrible. They're brick and mortar. But I think long term, if this Chewy CEO, this ex-Chewy CEO, is doing things and helping the company and believes they can be the Amazon of GameStop, and if GameStop believes they can be the Amazon of games, then they're good, because that's what they should be, and that's what they haven't been up until the year 2021.
Right. Yeah, and then hopefully they'll become Amazon, and then that share that I bought.
I would love buying all my video games at GameStop. Yeah, right? And then you're going to be good with the share, too. I would love buying all my video games at GameStop. I would feel more like a gamer, personally, just buying games from GameStop instead of Amazon, because I just feel like I'm feeding the beast when I buy video games on Amazon. But, like, why shouldn't I? Because I get it tomorrow, and I get, like, 10% off. So, like, why the hell not? So yeah, that's the GameStop craze. If you guys were curious what the hell's going on,
Yep, and like I hope that when Congress gets together with it, I know that the guy who kind of started it all on Reddit is tag is deep F in value. It is fully the F word, but I don't like swearing on our podcast unlike some other people. But that's
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't swear. Did I swear?
exactly.
Prove it.
And then
this is
and then
recorded, huh?
I believe on YouTube his tag is roaring kittens. So it's kind of like
Yes.
the idea of the stock market. Roaring
Yeah.
Kitty. Excuse me. Roaring Kitty is his thing, and he actually talked about this last year. Believe it or not, he was talking about GameStop, and I think it was the whole thing about Chewy CEO and stuff like this. So people believe that he was the one who really forced it, but he did start talking about it, and he actually now probably a multimillionaire, obviously, because he probably dumped a lot of stock when he got it. But he probably is gonna have to testify in front of Congress, and it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, he might end up getting fined and stuff because of it, because that's like kind of like insider trading when it comes to that.
Well,
so
I don't know, because he was speculating. He didn't know anything. He wasn't an insider. You know, that was all it was all speculation.
That's where the gray comes in.
He was going off of market research. He's not, like, to my knowledge, somebody who's sitting in a boardroom. Like, when I think of insider trading, I'm thinking I'm a member of a board,
and I know what's happening.
It tells me something that isn't public knowledge, so I make a decision to move stock that I own of the company because I have knowledge that is not publicly known.
The issue is that you can also, as a board member, even you can. It's not about knowing what's going to happen. It's about you doing something to make something happen. And I think that's where the gray area is going to come in here with this guy. Is that he wasn't even a part of the company. He doesn't know what's going on, but he actively did something to get the community to do something that benefited him. Now, whether or not that's right or wrong, I mean, isn't that generally what anybody's going to try to do? Anybody that's an influencer wants to try to get their community to do what they want them to do. Like, that's what influencing is.
Exactly, and so I can't say that he did anything illegal.
I don't. I honestly, with the current laws, he didn't. I don't think so.
It will help, but the point is that if Congress is going to do something about it, it's going to have to be something that helps the little guy, not the big guy, not the guy who's like who adding my third boat to my collection. That's not who you should be helping. And it's funny. I saw a meme and somebody said, "Guys, this is affecting real people that own multiple boats."
Yeah.
So there you go.
Real people that own should have said multiple yachts is probably more accurate. Man.
But anyways, so listen, guys. Now that you can wake up from all of the business talk, we are now going to get into some more direct video game talk, including a Final Fantasy 15 expansion announcement.
14.
Sorry, I don't know how to read Roman numerals. My bad.
Dude,
my bad. I thought I would learn. You know what? That's how I learned Roman numerals, which is ironic, is from video games.
Yeah, same here. Same because of Final Fantasy.
And then that and WrestleMania. Those are the two. Those are the two big factors that helped get me into my Roman numerals. So, all right. So, Final Fantasy 14. There is a PlayStation 5 version open beta that's beginning in April 2021, which looks pretty cool. So, why don't you talk more about what's going on with this?
Well, dude, have you played Final Fantasy 14?
I have not.
All right, so here, listen, I'm going to be dead honest with you. I love Final Fantasy. I think I might have queued up Final Fantasy 14 like once in my lifetime, and it wasn't even mine.
You know what? I'm thinking about it. A long time ago, I may have dabbled in it.
Yeah, maybe online. Like once. Yeah, it's like one of those games everybody's tried. It's not like WoW. Like I've tried WoW. Like even if you're not a WoW player, you've probably played World of Warcraft. And I haven't played it because when it first came out, which was like peak Final Fantasy interest level for me. This was back when people were still talking about 10 and 10-2 and all that stuff. 11 bombed. 11 was the other online Final Fantasy. It sucked ass. It was terrible. Final Fantasy 14, when it came out, wasn't that great. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't like Final Fantasy 11, but it wasn't that great. So I never really got into it. Since then, they've done so much stuff to get this game back on track, as I'm sure you've heard in the news. We've seen it floating around, news about that. And it's definitely been on my radar a little bit more. There's a lot of people that play it on Twitch. But, oh my God, let me tell you, just watching that trailer and the music they had in the trailer, it gave me that feeling of of playing like the regular Final Fantasies. And the reason I say that is because when you played 10, right, as an example, or like 7 and 8 and all that, right? So when you played those, you got chills, or at least I did anyways, when you saw the story, because that story was really, really gripping. Like, those stories, they had you, right? You were really invested in the characters, and you loved what was happening in the game. Online games, like WoW, like, don't get me wrong, the stories aren't terrible. Everybody knows who Leroy Jenkins is and all these people in World of Warcraft that are notable. Leroy
because somebody made.
Well, that was actually an event. That was a bad example. But so like Sylvana the Windrunner, like all these characters in WoW, people, they're notable characters in the Blizzard universe. But the story itself has never really like been this, oh my god, this is amazing storyline, right? Even Destiny's a great example. Destiny's the same sort of thing, except it's a looter shooter, and you're not really that invested in the storyline. Like, is it a cool story to follow? Like, yeah, sure. But it's not this life-changing thing. Final Fantasy XIV seems like it's got that same old school Final Fantasy feel where the storyline has you invested in wanting to know what's going on. And I was really impressed just by the trailer, to the point where I might actually play that game or start playing that game, especially as a Final Fantasy fan. So
right.
All I could say is it looks great. Like you mentioned, beta for PS5 starts in April. There's going to be free upgrade, so from 4 to 5, if you guys got it, and if you have like an account and stuff. 4K resolution support, so that's good. It'll look even better. Faster loading and better frame rate. The new expansion itself, which is what the event was for. Dude, I went on Twitch last night. It was by far the most viewed category, and I never expected Final Fantasy 14, regardless of if it's like a launch party, to get that high in viewership. Like, there was a ton of people watching this. It's called Endwalker, and the original thing when it came out, when the whole like rework of the story came out, was called A Realm Reborn. If you remember when they did all the marketing and stuff for that. This Endwalker expansion supposedly ends Realm Reborn. It ends that storyline. Now, my first thought was, well, damn, is this like the last expansion? Are you going to keep going with this? Because WoW is never ending. WoW has literally been WoW for... There's no WoW 2, WoW 3. It's just WoW. And
it's expansions, yeah.
Yeah, it's just expansions. And now it's weird because Final Fantasy 14 has 14, but it's not... It's Final Fantasy. It's like an original game. It's just because it's a Final Fantasy game in the all the games they've had since like the 80s. So it's a little bit different. So I have a feeling that they want this to be WoW. They want to just continue it on. And the producer, Naoki Yoshida, said that patch 6.1, so 6 is Endwalker. 6.1, apparently a completely new story will begin. And that leads me to believe, and he didn't confirm anything, that there is going to be like another expansion that starts a whole new story and stuff like that in the future. So that's really, really cool. Nice. Are you going to play this, Joe? Are you going to...
Probably not.
No? Why not? I mean, it's a lot of time invested.
I mean, it's time in general, right? Like, I got the WoW expansion, and I...
barely played it.
I got to level 56 out of 50. I was started at 50 because they the cap. It went from 120 to 50. And I think I got to 55, 56, and I haven't played it since. And then, stuff like that. And I'm trying to play other games as they come out, trying to build, like, a grow in some games and, just go through it. So it's tough. And get the family, all that stuff. So it's a balancing act for sure.
It's like even I say I'm going to play it, but, I mean, I want to, sure. Do I have 74 days of time to put into this game? Probably not. Not even close. And it feels really bad because that's always been my view on MMOs. Like, you just need such time invested. Like, you need to be like a professional gamer or just like be a kid in high school to be able to invest that much time into the game. Now I see, looking back, man, I wish I could do high school all over again. Remember when you were in high school, you're like, man, I hate this. This shit's whack.
Some of the things you could do over again now.
Oh, like, my God.
Of learning and getting older. Learn everything.
Why couldn't I learn faster, Joe? God damn it.
Why couldn't I learn to invest when I was a kid?
yeah, right. When you're 18, you can have a yacht right now.
I would have way more than a yacht.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. I just decided to blow money and party, but that's a whole other discussion. So, all right. So speaking of levels, though, level cap from 80 to 90, by the way. And there's 2 new jobs. One's a sage. One is an unknown melee class they kind of just insinuated, and you're going to the moon apparently.
Going to the moon with diamond hands like the GameStop stock.
They actually, it's funny you made a joke about that. I was reading some article about 14. Well, they said something about Harvest Moon and some dumbass joke that they made to it. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, because I guess there's this part in Final Fantasy 14 where you can go to this city and just relax, and there's like chocobos and shit everywhere, and you could just like play Harvest Moon in Final Fantasy. So
nice.
Oh my god. But yep, Final Fantasy, man. I honestly, this has me intrigued. This is one of the first expansions they've announced where I looked at it and went, holy hot damn, this looks like a really good game.
There you go. So, holy hot damn. How about our next article?
Yeah.
Which actually happened a couple weeks ago, and we were going to have this on last week's stream. But then life got in the way, and we weren't able to stream last week, but we're back. But this was one that I wanted to hit up, because even though it's old and it's basically the person's taking down everything and has gone away, there was an article where this guy was playing Madden 21. Listen, we all have lives. We're all trying to do the streaming thing. As you can see, I have a life and a person right next to me here, and you have to take care of them. And unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to put it, they're going to get in the way of the things that you want to do. You know what I mean? And so we try to balance it as best we can. And sometimes we have to do things like stream and do podcasts with them hanging out with us, because we don't want them to get hurt or have things happen. And so you have to understand that there are things that are going to happen with that. And this person did not understand that, number one, he had a smaller child, so one that can't really do anything for themselves. So, one, don't play a competitive game if you're going to stream and you have to watch a kid. Do something like a card game or something that you can play against, and you can stop at a turn and be like, okay, I can...
Whoa. I have gotten pretty angry at playing Legends of Runeterra. I'm just saying.
I'm sure you have that, like, play against the computer where there's no time limits. You can pause the game. You can do things. Don't play real-time Madden where if you miss a pass or if the controller doesn't work properly, it'll blow up, because that's what ended up happening. Apparently, it's the controller messed up, so the kid really had nothing to do with it. The kid was just there, unfortunately, and took the wrath of the person. And the guy got upset, which a lot of people do when something happens. And when you're getting angry, it's obviously going to affect people around you, especially a small child that really doesn't understand what's going on. So they get nervous and they get scared and they cry. And then it turned into this kid being on his lap, to him putting him over on another chair, which is whatever, it's fine at that point. But then he escalates it and literally turns around to the kid and screams at them. And it's like, in the fact that he
said
did
shut the F up to the kid, which is pretty very angry.
Yeah, right in their face and screaming. It's like, there's a problem there, because you just, like, it was totally emotion there, and it's sad. And we just wanted to bring it up because I have my daughter here, and I'd never flip out on her with anything. I just, like, stop everything, try to pause it. When we were doing non-live streams, at times where we were pausing the stream because of her and stuff like that, because we had to take care of it, just because we have lives. This is not our profession. We're doing this for fun. If it ever becomes our profession, then we'll have enough money to be able to put towards having people watching people and doing this type of stuff. But sometimes that just doesn't work out. We don't have babysitters and things like that. So it's really disappointing. I was hoping that there'd be more information on what's happened, but all I know for now is that he took down all of his stuff. I don't think people actually did anything to him.
So
even though there was an outcry of it, but they'll ban you for playing computer-rated material, but they won't ban someone for technically mentally abusing a child on stream.
Well, they did ban the Twitch account. They suspended it.
Okay, I didn't miss it, so they suspended it.
Okay. There's so much that I want to touch on here, though, because I think there's a lot more than just, oh my god, this guy screamed at his kid.
Right. No, of course, there's tons of underlying stuff.
First off, Madden 21. Grand Theft Auto gets a lot of shit for people like doing bad things because of Grand Theft Auto. I would argue that Madden 21 gets more people angry and pissed off and wanting to kill somebody than Grand Theft Auto. I'm just throwing that out there. Okay?
Well, I would say that that's possible, but also, like, if you're going there, to be honest with you, fighters are probably.
Oh, fighters are pretty bad too.
Like,
yeah.
Mortal Kombat.
Fight me in real life, bro. Okay, so couple things.
Yeah.
First thing I want to say is, I don't know if you noticed this in the article. This is probably the biggest thing to take from this. He had 5 viewers. He was by no means even close to a big guy. And this guy's name was Buckers, by the way. Buckkkerz, if anybody wants to look him up. So, what that tells me is that, listen, there's a lot of people that want to be a streamer. There's a lot of people that want to do things online and put their face on the internet. Let me tell you, everything you say and do matters for the image and the brand that you are trying to build. Because even when you think nobody is watching, and for all intents and purposes, nobody was watching his stream. 5 viewers is nothing, okay? Trust me, when I first started streaming, I had 0. I had 1. I had 2. I had literally, like, my own account and my girlfriend and my mom, like, you know, had my stream up. And they weren't watching. They were just doing it to help me, right? So, but people are watching, because even if nobody's watching at the time, when you end your stream, that gets uploaded. And as we've seen with all of the Twitch crap that's gone on lately, it actually gets uploaded to a database online forever that whether you like it or not, even if you delete the clip, they still have it. So if you guys didn't know that, if you didn't see that episode when we talked about that, that's an issue that Amazon and Twitch are dealing with right now too. But that's something I wanted to point out, because just when you stream, you need to understand that you are on the internet. Everybody can see you, whether you think so or not. People are listening to you. What you say and what you do matters, okay? Now, with that said, and this is probably going to be unpopular opinion, but I'm just trying to play devil's advocate, okay?
Oh, boy.
All right. Now, let me preface this by saying I 100%... What? Yeah, it was, yeah. It wasn't even an elite controller. What the hell?
No, it was. It was.
Oh, it was. Well, yeah. If he said 300, I pretty much figured it was an elite with all the like 20,000 buttons on it. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Let me preface this by saying, at no point in time do I ever think it's all right to do what this guy did and scream at his kid. Okay. However, I also do not think it is right to crucify this guy, because I mean, most people, or maybe you have a really good control over your emotional state 100% of the time for your entire life, but most people, if you've played Madden or something, like we just joked about fighting games, you have probably gotten pissed while playing a game. You've probably screamed. You've probably said something. Like, it happens. Or
probably
you get
broken
angry.
the controller.
You probably broken a... I have thrown... When I was younger, especially, I definitely threw a controller at least once or twice.
100%.
Yeah, and like, that happens. You will get angry. I still get angry playing League of Legends. I fucking hate that game, even though I still play it for some reason. That's a perfect example. I'm sure anybody who's played League can agree with that. But so this my point, I guess, is before before his account got suspended, as an example, I guess he changed the account name to I'm sorry 1234556. Yeah, he immediately turned off the stream after he did that. He immediately deleted all of his social media. Like, this dude is clearly very aware of what he just did. It's not like it's one of those people that you see online that do this and then they tweet on Twitter like, I don't care what you guys say, like, it's my kid, I'll do what I want, it's my right, like, you know. So did the guy screw up? Sure. Did he screw up doing something that I would say most people, or maybe some people at least, might in the moment screw up, because you have to really have good control over your emotional well-being while playing that game when the kid is in the room to not scream. Now, granted, it was at the kid, you know. Maybe most people would have just screamed and not directly at the kid, right? Yeah, but I just think there's something to be said about listen, he fucked up. He's sorry. He's saying he's sorry in a roundabout way. I'm sure he might say something eventually. He's clearly hiding right now because he probably feels completely humiliated.
Well, not to say. He's probably worried about what could happen on the repercussions.
With child services and stuff, yeah.
Like that, yeah, for sure.
But, like, yeah, so to that point...
because in that article, they highlight some other people who have done stuff. Actually, criminal charges were put up against them because of it. So.
Yeah, and I think, like, listen, this is why courts exist, right? Personally, I think he's shown remorse. So they'll investigate, I'm sure. it could be bullshit. Maybe he's saying he's sorry, but he actually is a really abusive father. You know, I don't know. We don't know these things. But at least from the surface, from what we've seen, from what we know, it seems like he's remorseful. I wouldn't crucify the guy. I wouldn't charge him with anything. Just, you know, give him a stern talking to, like, dude, you're an idiot. You screwed up. You shouldn't ever do that to your kid. But again, that could be wrong. He could actually be a really terrible dad. We just don't know.
You got to keep an eye on it. That's what ends up happening.
Yeah.
At worst, they would just check in on him or something, because I think that there are some situations where it's like that's probably not the first time that's happened.
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess
he's only remorseful because it got the ire of, you know, thousands of people.
Well, that's where the mother comes in, right? Like you.
Yeah, which
the
I
mother
haven't
would
heard
know.
or seen anything in regards to that. So.
Which actually, which now follow me here too. If we haven't heard from the mother at all, and there's been no statement from the mother made either, that leads me to believe she's on his side, and that means it's probably a one-off situation where he just. No.
Well, I think it's a lot. No, because even if she was on his side, I would think that she would make a statement saying, "Hey, listen."
Oh, I see what you're saying. You could look at it like that too. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Actually, yeah. So it is a little curious that she hasn't said something like, "Hey." Or maybe they're just getting with people to figure that out. You know what? I guess you really can't make a call until we do get a statement from one or the other. If the wife is on his side, then I imagine things will eventually, you know, calm down and go away, and he just made a mistake. If the wife is not, then it means he probably, like you said, is a repeat offender. It's happened before. So, but just a lot of things to take in from this situation and learn, apart from just what happened. This dude screamed at his kid, and oh my god, let's talk about it. Like, that's not just what happened. There's a lot more to really dig into here. So
exactly.
I actually love that you found this story. I think you texted this to me earlier in the week, I think, too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when we were going to do it for last week's episode, yeah.
It's really interesting to me that until right now, I didn't realize he only had 5 viewers on his stream. That's very, very eye-opening.
Right.
As a streamer.
He had more viewers than I normally have. So
yeah. But, well, like, I cast, right? And I...
Well, you get more people now because you have the Legends of Runeterra casts.
Well, yeah, and that's my point. Like, I have, 100, 200 people watching, and I guess I've never really cared too much about what I say, and I probably still won't really care too much, but I generally, nothing I say is absolutely, like, I'm not, like, blatantly racist or screaming at a baby on you know what I mean? So, it's just interesting to think of things in that light. Now that I've been doing what I've been doing for a while now, so
yeah, right, exactly. So with that being said, let's talk about the fact that next week coming up is Valentine's Day, and if you're lucky enough to have a special someone in your life, and that special someone also enjoys playing video games, well, do we have the article for you?
Yeah, I like that voice. It's like the 2 a.m. radio guy. That's like, you know what I'm talking about when I say that?
Yeah, right now. It's late 105.
Yeah, that's what it is, late 105. Yeah. I think
that's a radio station in the Northeast, everyone, and more in the Rhode Island area. But
well, that's why I asked, because I think I said it to Boulevard, who's my co-caster a lot of the time for Legends of Runeterra, and I mentioned it because he like made a similar voice. And he's like, "What the hell are you smoking? Like, what are you talking about?" Nobody understood what I meant. Only I did, because I'm from Rhode Island and I know Light 105. It's like, you're now tuning in to the Great Night videos, or the Great Night Radio.
So what was it? What was it that was making him do the voice? Like, I don't know if there's any characters that are like, was it like a dark character or a shadow character? And he was like,
I don't know, man. We just do stupid shit during the cast.
Sacrifice. Yeah.
It was something like that. Yeah, it's. We do the most ridiculous voices sometimes while we're casting. So.
All right. So you found this article. It's about some small, short video games that you can play with your partner or.
I like how everything's so technical nowadays. The society we live in. They probably had to put parentheses or housemate in the freaking title. This actually stuck out to me because of the cover photo, Joe. Do you know what game that is?
That's one of the games you were playing with your with your girlfriend, I think, right? Until Dawn or something?
Yes. Excuse me. She's my partner, not my girl. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, Until Dawn. It's Until Dawn.
Yeah.
So this game was very good. It gave me, and I think I talked about this before, so I won't get too big into it, but as an interactive horror survival game, it really is more so on the side of watching a movie, Like, it's very little interaction as far as games are concerned, at least from a gamer's point of view. But because of that reason, any girl, so if you're listening and you got a girlfriend, you're like, my girlfriend hates that my girlfriend wants to bite my head off whenever I say that I'm playing a video game and don't give her attention. Like, if you got one of those girlfriends that just despises video games, she will be able to get into this game. This game, Until Dawn, specifically, because that's the one that I played with my girlfriend, is such little interaction. It's basically like using a TV remote, right? You press X when she's about to jump to grab onto a ledge. You just press the X at the right time. That's literally all it is. And all it does, really, is get you to focus more on the game, which means you're more enveloped in the actual storytelling, right? And I love that, because movies, you can get distracted a lot more easily. So now you're adding this kind of like additional sort of tactile touch behind being involved in the story, and it's good. It's perfect. It's not too much. Right. It's perfect for the person who's never played a video game in their life. So real quick, let me just go through this. You got Morkred, Fogs, Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris. That seems odd to me. I feel like that's a little bit more involved, but A Short Hike, Gone Home, Firewatch, A Way Out, Telling Lies, Until Dawn, and then bonus recommendation, Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is interesting to me, but what about you? Have you ever played with your grill? Have you ever played a video game with her, like side by side, like sitting on the couch? Really?
Nope.
Joe, we gotta get her on board, man. You gotta. All right, how about this? You got a PS4, right?
Yeah.
You want to borrow Until Dawn?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm not interested in it.
What do you mean you're not interested? You can bond, man. This is a bonding experience for your girl.
We're bonding with her.
He's like, we bonded enough. I don't need more bonding. Oh, man.
I mean, I guess if you want to get technical, I mean, I guess we've played Mario Kart with my daughter together, so...
Okay, yeah.
That's probably about it.
Ooh, that's actually a good one. Like, who in the world won't play Mario Kart with somebody else? Like, I think nobody.
Or like a Mario Party or something like that.
Yeah.
For sure.
I feel like every party, like back when I was in college and even high school, any party that I ever went to where people were drinking and they wanted to play a video game, that was usually the game people landed on, was Mario Party. All right, sorry, Mario Kart.
Yeah. Mario Party probably in some respects too.
Did you ever play like drink and drive Mario Kart?
No.
Oh, dude, you don't know the rules?
I was never a party guy. I was never a party
guy.
Dude. So let me guess. It was probably something like, if you got hit by a shell, drink this. If you got hit by this color shell, drink this.
Worse, way worse.
No? Oh,
way worse.
Wow.
It was basically, it counts down when you're at the starting line. And when you go, you can either start driving or start drinking. And you have to finish your drink by the end of the race. So, most people, what they do is they just shotgun their beer and then they just do the race. Or you can go and like get ahead of people to start and then stop and drink and then like go. Or you can go get to the finish line and right before you finish, chug your beer and then go over the finish line.
I think mine's more fun.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yours, you have to think a little bit more. Yeah,
you're basically causing people more damage by getting hit by things.
Yeah, I actually agree with yours now that I think about it. Yours just makes more like, because then you think about like the Super Bowl drinking game where it's like if a touchdown pass is thrown, if a sack, like all that stuff. But yeah, actually, one of my friends a while ago, we were at it was an outdoor party that he had at his place. This was years ago. He set up a giant projection screen in the middle of the yard, right? Yeah. And actually, we played Mario Kart on that, and that was super fun. Just sitting there, he had all the chairs set up in front of the projection screen, and that was fun. But yeah, Mario Kart. Anybody for Valentine's Day looking to play video games? Mario Kart, another fantastic choice. Just gonna throw that one out.
Mario Kart or Mario Party.
Mario Party. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we will have a link to this article in the podcast notes and all the other notes from all the places that we post our stuff. So you can check out all those games and watch trailers for them embedded in that article. So with that being said, guys, we are going to move on to our next segment. Typically, this segment is Ruffhouse deals. However, we are gonna
skip Ruffhouse deals is because there weren't really that many good deals that I could find. But there was a game that came out this week that I've been streaming pretty much all week called Destruction All Stars. Now, this game is only available on the PlayStation 5, so unfortunately, there's probably only a small segment of people who can actually try this out for themselves. Because if you are a PlayStation Plus member, currently right now, it is available for download on the PlayStation Plus store. So, let me start off with the score. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Now, why? There's a couple of reasons why. Because this game could easily have been an 8.
Really? Okay.
We're talking. We have a little one talking in. She is hungry, everyone. My daughter is hungry.
But what did she give Destruction All Stars? That's the question.
Well, she's been playing. What score do you give Destruction All Stars?
Out of 10.
Out of 10. What do you think it is out of 10? What do you give it?
She using her fingers? Wait, what'd she say?
She's giving it a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10?
You're giving it a 15.
A 15? Man, you're easily entertained apparently. Jesus.
She doesn't get the nuance of it yet and why it's a 6.5. It could easily be closer to an 8. There are a couple of things that give it negative points. Number one, a lot of fun to play.
Yep.
Let's get away right now. Tons of fun to play. Multiplayer matches are really quick to get into, and they're really quick hits. I think they're like between 3 and 5 minutes a game because they're actually timed. There are 2 single player modes and there are 2 team modes. So no matter what you want to do, the team games I felt like took longer to get into than the individual games. So there isn't a lot of queue problems there. But why am I held back on giving it a higher score than it is? The reason why is microtransactions. That's right, everybody. There are microtransactions in the game, but the microtransactions don't look like they're pay to win, but they're pay to play.
Okay.
And that's the problem for me. Okay, now, if this game is officially free and will be free for, if you download it and you got it between now and I believe the end of March, and you can keep it, and it's not a gallery game where if you have PlayStation Plus, they put it on there for a short period of time, but it's going to go away. The game's probably going to... I think the game is $70 if you buy it. Now, if you're going to buy a $70 game and then you're going to pay $5, let's say, for these destruction coins that they have to be able to play more game, that's a problem.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'll screenshot it and we'll post it on our YouTube on what I'm talking about. I'll send it to SJW. He does all the editing, but that's a problem for me. Okay, you're gonna get in-game coins, which you do get for leveling up by playing multiplayer, and you can spend that on unlocking the game further. Okay, you're not paying for it; it's forcing you to play the game. But that currency is for customization items, like customizing your emotes, colors of your characters, stuff like that, colors of the cars. So that brings down the score dramatically for me. And, at launch, it got pushed back. It was supposed to come out in November, but it got pushed back to February, which is when it came out. You have basically 3 different venues that you can play at, and there are only 4 different games you can play. So the repetitive nature of it gets kind of old over time. And I think that's going to be a problem. Now, yes, there's support for it. There are things that they're going to be coming out with. They've already said that there's going to be more stuff down the road. But it comes down to what we talked about earlier, right? Support. How much of the game will be supported and how fast will they be able to get out new content for people? And then on top of it, will they stop the microtransaction for unlocking more of the arcade?
I mean, here's my problem with something like Destruction All Stars. Why not just release the new Twisted Metal?
Well, because number one, they're not the company that actually.
I know. I just like
Twisted Metal, but yeah, no, that's another question for another day. We want Twisted Metal.
I want Twisted Metal.
I didn't became with a reboot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Even just remaster like the original one. I'd be A-okay with that.
I would be cool with a reboot of it with a whole bunch of other stuff and maybe an extra breakthrough or an integration of basically Twisted Metal 1 and 2 and putting them all together or something and just having it all like there, something to that effect, I'd be all in for 100%. So like I'm gold.
It does look like a fun game. Like, I got to agree with you. If it's the microtransactions that are really holding it back, I mean, and that's like,
well, that and the limited amount of stuff that you can do, like it's tough to like you can only do it so many times. And yes, I got my first win last night. So
okay,
in
cool.
the game Mayhem, which is 16 free for all, 16 players typically. They do play the game with less. I believe the smallest game I think I played in was 12. So, but the max is 16, and you know, it's tough. It's not easy. I average 6th to 5th place every game.
Out of how many people?
Out of 16.
Okay, all right. I thought you were gonna be like out of 8, and be like, Joe.
I finished 5th out of 14.
Okay, yeah.
No.
So like, that sounds like an issue.
So I'm usually in the middle of the pack. I think I average between like 6th place is probably
no, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Most. But then I got first place in one game, but it can change in seconds because you get points based off of hits, destructions, annihilations, KOs. So there's all different types of ways. So annihilation is basically destroying the car and the user and the player. So you're actually able to jump out of the car and collect not coins, but like shards of like diamonds, crystals, whatever. So, and that helps build your meter. And each character has their own individual breakers, which are basically special moves.
Like a limit break. Yeah.
And it's a limited time. So they have an individual one, which they do when they're out running around trying to collect the stuff. And then when they drop your hero car, you have a special attack that you can do as well.
Gotcha.
But the shards are get your hero card. And then you have so it's fun. It's good to play through all the people. All of the characters are animated, and they're trying to do a story mode situation in the arcade that you can play to learn more about them. But that's where the limitation is right now. There's only one character that you can play the story mode for, and then the second character you have to unlock for 500 coins or 400 coins, which is $5. So you're paying $5 to unlock that, which is
and there's no other way to get them.
Not that I could see.
That's not.
And then you exactly. Now, if it's completely a free game and it's never going to be paid, I can see something like that being the case because that's how they make their revenue. But if you're going to charge someone $70 for a game, you should not be charging them for unlocking more of the arcade game.
The free to play model, though, is like Riot has set the gold standard for free to play model. The free to play model is not. It's free to download to play the first level and then you pay for the rest of the game. That's not free to play.
Well. No, but I mean, like, you can play everything else, and you can play arcade and just like play matches and stuff. But if you want to like do like storyline rival stuff like that, you have to do that.
It's like free to play now means that somehow, some way, the entire game and the entire freaking game can be free with some sort of time investment. And if that's not the case, then that concerns me because they're just behind. Like that's free to play now. That is the free to play model. You either get on board or your game is probably just not going to do nearly as well, which is unfortunate because it does look like it has a lot of potential.
It does have a lot of potential, and maybe they'll figure that out, and then the score will go up because they do have like tasks that you can do in the multiplayer that can get you more XP, and you're basically leveling up. And every time you level up, you get 1,000 coins, and that coin can be spent, unfortunately, only on cosmetics. If it was to unlock the game too, well, yeah, that's fine because at least you're not paying to play. You just have to play multiplayer to get it. And the other thing that I dislike about it is that it's very difficult if you don't know the PlayStation 5 model to basically mute your controller and mute what's going on. Because if you don't have a headset for the game itself, for like the PlayStation 5, when you jump into the game, everyone can hear you and you can hear everyone through your controller because the controller is basically a faux headset / microphone. So you basically are jumping right into the game and you can hear everyone and they can hear you, plus you know to press the button below the PlayStation icon right there, and that'll mute your mic, but you'll still be able to hear people. So then you have to press the PlayStation button, and there's like a little square that tells you that you're in a chat, and you press square to mute that. So it's like You need to know these things, or else people are going to hear you and you're going to hear them, and that might not be what you want to do. So just a little heads up, that's how you do it. If you are lucky enough to own a PlayStation 5 and have a PlayStation Plus membership to get this game downloaded. So there you go, guys. There is my Ruffhouse reviews of Destruction All-Stars, a 6.5 with the possibility of going up to 8 if they change some of their microtransaction rules and start to really support the game in regards to plans of new characters, new game modes, new arenas. Because the arenas do matter. It's not just aesthetics. There's like traps and things like that that are in each arena. So there's ways to destroy people by pushing them into traps and things like that. And each arena has their own individual type of traps. So it's not just for aesthetics. There are reasons why.
Me sitting over here still don't have a freaking PS5 because, God, I hate COVID right now. I'm so.
If you try hard enough, you would be.
Dude, I have literally tried purchasing it every single time.
I'm living proof that if you try hard.
Well, no, you're living proof that if you jumped on it the second it came out when it very first released, then you would have been golden, and that was my mistake.
It's still really hard to do.
I mean, yeah.
I went through the trap. Of having different companies to try to get one.
I just want a PlayStation. Oh man. Oh well.
All right. So now that the child's out of the bag here, let's move on to SGW's video game releases of the week. SGW, what's coming out this week?
Got a few, not a whole lot this week, but this first one, we were just talking about before this. Holy Jesus, this is way different than I'm used to. It's called Death Crown. It's described as a minimalist real-time strategy game in a, yes, you heard this right, 1-bit style where you play as Death herself. They made that obvious there. So it's interesting that they Death is a girl in this, or female, commanding her legions of death and punishing humanity's kingdom for its overconfidence. It's weird because when I watched the video, it's a real-time strategy game. It's literally all black and white, and it's 1-bit style because literally it's just like you could make this, I imagine. I'm not a programmer by any means. You could make this game by just putting black and white pixels all over the screen, and like it forms the game. It kind of reminds me of Catan, Settlers of Catan, because it looks like it has kind of that grid style of the hexagons or whatever. I don't know. It's interesting. Just check it out if you're into minimalist style stuff.
It's been on Steam for a while, but it's coming out on the PlayStation 4, Xbox, and Switch on February 11th. But it has been out on PC.
Yep. Little Nightmares 2 for PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, also on the 11th. This is a suspense adventure game, so it's a horror game, 100%.
Yep.
You're a young boy. You're trapped in a world that has been distorted by an evil transmission, and you basically just set out with a bunch of friends to go ahead and start exploring and figure out the source of the transmission. So very more childlike type horror game if you're into something like that. Kind of what's that name? What's the horror game that has Nightmare in the title? That's super. What's the guy that makes that with the stick figure horror dude? Oh my god, people get tattoos of him all the time. Wow.
Slenderman?
What is it?
The Slenderman thing, or
no. It's like it's. I think Nightmare is in the title of the. It's a movie, I think too. And it's like cartoony, and one of the main dudes is a skinny, slender skeleton. Wow, why can't I? And it's a popular.
Christmas.
Is that it? No, is it The Nightmare Before? Who's the creator of that?
Tim
Burton. Tim Burton. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. Wow. Holy crap. Oh my god. What is wrong with me? Yeah, A Nightmare. It has that kind of vibe to it, right? Jesus Christ. Yes. Yeah, Jack. Oh my god. Wow. Brain fart there. Sorry about that. All right, guys. If you thought we were never gonna have a slutty anime type game ever again, well, you thought wrong. Because now there's Gal Gun Returns with a star in between Gal and Gun. Apparently this is infamous. The infamous ecchi rail shooter is back. Fight back with Jesus Christ. Fight back with pheromones. You're fighting with pheromones as girls throw themselves at you. They throw themselves at you to try to find true love in less than a day. I truly hope everybody listening to this that girls throw themselves at you in real life and not only in video games. That is my one hope for everybody listening to this podcast right now. But yeah, this is developed by Inti Creates Company and published by P-Cube Limited. Yeah, really, really interesting. But it's a dating simulation game, if you guys are into that. Rover Wars, Battle for Mars. This looks like a complete... Wait, is it just based off Star Wars? No. This is just a complete ripoff of Star Wars. What are those big things called that have the 4 legs that are really tall in Star Wars?
Gosh, like the well, there's ATAs, and then there's...
They look like dinosaurs, but they're...
Yeah, no, I know
what I'm talking about. There's a
yeah.
name for them. Basically, it looks like you got those things, and you fight with them. And it's a MOBA. It's a MOBA. And it says actually specifically if a MOBA and an RTS game had a baby. So you're also doing resource management, which is a very big thing with RTS games, and then
so you're talking about the ATA.
That's the ATA.
The AT-AT,
Okay.
which is that one, and then the 2-legged one is the AT-ST.
Okay, gotcha. Cool.
But the one where they wrap it around with the cabling to drop it.
Yeah.
It's got the 4 legs. That's the AT-AT.
AT-AT. Okay, cool. Wow, I thought it was a way cooler name than that, actually. So that's unfortunate.
It's called. It stands for All-Terrain Armored Transport.
Wow, Jesus. Anyways, Galgun Returns is PC, Xbox Series X, and Xbox One and Switch for the 12th. Rover Wars is only Xbox One for the 12th. And last but not least, we got Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury for the Switch. If you don't know what the hell that is, I don't even know why you're listening to this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. It's, well, I mean, actually, no. Honestly, if you're listening to this podcast, you should probably know.
Everybody. We want everyone. Everyone is enthralled with Mario and stuff like that.
No. There is a percentage of the population that does not know what Mario is, and I feel very, very bad for that percentage of the population. But that comes out on the Switch pre-order for February 12th. So, more Mario. Mario never going to go away, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely
awesome game. But that's it. That's what we got.
That's it. We're done for this week's episode of the podcast. We really appreciate you guys jumping along with us. I hope you guys all enjoy the Super Bowl, because when you listen to this, the Super Bowl will be over.
Yep.
And enjoy your Valentine's Day. If you have a special someone, with COVID and everything, it's going to be tough, because they're going to be technically the first Valentine's Day that we've been dealing with the COVID situation, because the big thing didn't really happen until March. Because I remember last year where I was on Valentine's Day, we had taken a weekend away. Can't do it this year, so we'll see what happens, everyone. But we appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like us on all of our social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, all that stuff. My daughter on all of her stuff, but she doesn't have, so that's cool. And all that fun stuff. So, all right, we're not pushing other person's podcast.
She just wants to say bye to everybody too. It's fine.
She was trying to push her favorite YouTube channel.
Oh,
we're not doing that here. Their video game YouTube channel that has to do with family, that's all I'll say, and they do way more than we do. So if anything, they're sponsoring our stuff. So, anyways, we want to thank everyone for coming along, and we will see you next week. Peace out, everybody.
Later, everybody.